Using cURL for HTTP requests on Termux Android. cURL, which stands for Client URL, is a powerful command line tool for making HTTP requests, downloading files, interacting with APIs. With Termux, a Linux terminal emulator for Android, you can use cURL to test APIs, debug web services, and automate tasks, okay, right from your phone. This tutorial will teach you how to install cURL on Termux, how to send get, post, put, delete requests, how to work with JSON APIs. We are going to be using DummyJSON for this tutorial. Then how to debug requests with verbose mode. So the first thing to do is to ensure that Termux is installed on your device. I have mine installed already, but if you don't have yours installed, go to the Play Store and look for Termux. And this first one over here, I've installed mine. You can install yours if you don't have it installed. Then you open, and you can see I have my Linux running on my device. So if you are doing this for the first time, I would advise that you update the package references and also upgrade the package versions as well. So you do pkg, you can just combine, no, pkg updates, then you can combine it with pkg upgrade. Just pass the y flag to save you some extra work. Okay, so now that you've by now I believe you have that updated, you can do something like cURL version. So cURL is installed on my device at the moment. Okay, if you run cURL version and you're not getting anything, what you can do is pkg, you do pkg install cURL, then you pass the y flag. Okay, you pass the y flag. Do you want to continue to just enter the y option for you straight away? So I don't have to do this, but you might have to do this if you don't have it installed already on your device. So moving on, I'll just clear this. Then after clearing this, um, let's run a simple a basic get request. Okay, a basic get request. So by default, when you want to use the cURL command, by default you're going to be launching a get request, just like your web browser. By default, the request, if you don't specify the type, it is going to be taking it as a get request. So for this one, I can just do cURL, then cURL, let me paste my dummy JSON. I copied it before now, so this is the endpoint, https dot slash slash. You can just check it online, dummyjson.com slash products. So I can just okay, let me run this. Make sure you're connected to the internet. You see all this data that is being sent over API. See how messy it is. Just see how messy it is. So let me clear my terminal first, because this is overwhelming. But one other thing I can do is to just request for the product with the ID of one. Okay, it's a dummy API, so they have all this data. Basically, you are emulating a live server. So let me do /1, and you see the data for just the product with /1. You can see the title, the ID, the description, the price, and all that. Okay, so one other thing that you may want to do is to write the output of your curl command to a file. So let me clear my terminal once more. After clearing my terminal, I'll create a file and I will call it, create a directory, mkdir. I'll call it http requests. Okay, so cd http request. Okay, so ls, you can see it's an empty directory, so I can just run that same command once more. Okay, so if I run this command once more, what I have to do now, okay, let me just write everything from scratch. So cURL, then I'll pass the O flag, and please, it is small letter O, okay, not capital O. it is case sensitive. I can do something like product.json. Okay, product.json. So instead of writing the output of this cURL command to the terminal standard output the way you did initially, now it will be writing it to a file. Okay, in the previous command when I ran ls, you can see that the directory is empty. So after running this command, we are expecting to have a product.json file there. So after passing the O flag and you have your file, the next thing you want to do is to just bring the endpoint. Okay, so just bring the endpoint. After bringing the endpoint, I can just pass in /1 just to get the product to the ID of 1. Okay, so run it. Okay, you can see it is done getting. Now ls, you can see I have product.json, and if I want to cat product.json, you can check the Termux Linux commands, essential commands for Termux Linux, or it's on the YouTube channel, and the link will be in the description below. So I covered all the essential commands that you're going to be needing for Termux. You can just check it out. So cat product.json, you can see, so instead of writing it to the terminal, I was able to write it to this particular file. Okay, so that about that. So one other thing that you can do is to make it more presentable, more readable. There's a way you can pretty print it to the terminal that will make it more readable. Okay, so I can just do something like this. Let me clear my terminal. Then after clearing my terminal, I will have to add the JQ library, the JQ command. So pkg install JQ. Okay, let me just pass the Y flag, so I won't have to just wait for it to install. Let's wait for it to install. Okay, now I have the pkg command, the JQ command installed. I can use it to pretty print the output of that request. So I can now do curl cURL. I'll bring in the endpoint. Then after bringing in the endpoint, I can do /1 just to get, or let me do /3. Then I'll bring in a pipe. Where is the pipe on this keyboard? Okay, this is it. Then I'll pass in JQ. Okay, you will see the way to print this one. You can see what I have now. You can see what I have. So he printed it way better than he did initially. So you can see the ID of 3, powder, canister. You can see the description, the category, the price. He displays it better this way using the JQ command that we just installed. Okay, so all the requests that we have been launching before now, we have been launching get requests. Okay, we have been launching get requests. So now how do we launch requests in other methods like post, put, patch, and delete? Post, put, patch, and delete. So we can do all that, but I think before we do that, there's one other thing I would like to show you. So you can pass the I flag, you can pass the I flag, capital I. Then if you bring in the name, so the product, let me just do /1 once more, and it will give you okay, it will give you details of the request basically. Okay, the details, the header information of the request. So you can see the header information, the return status is 200. Access control allow origin, it is allowing all origins with this wildcard. You can see the content type application /JSON, the cassette UTF-8, and you can see so many other things. X powered by whatever you want to do basically. So this is just the request headers. Now let's see how we can make launch requests in other methods. So to launch a post request, have it at the back of your mind that you are going to be passing data to the server. For example, you might be if you are building an application where maybe a user wants to register, do you expect the user to send their registration details information? They are going to be sending it as a post data, and part of what you will specify in the headers is the content type. You are going to be specifying it as application or JSON. Okay, so we are going to be doing that also with the cURL. All you have to do is just to do cURL, then you use the capital X flag. Please note it is case sensitive. Capital X. Do you specify the method post? Okay, post. Then now you specify the header using capital H flag. Please, it is case sensitive. Now you're passing content type. Content type is going to be application slash JSON. Okay, application slash JSON, and that is it for the content type. Now we are going to be passing the data. So you are going to be using the D flag, small letter D, please, the D flag, and I have to write my data now. So I will be using the open bracket, then I will also have to pass the double quote this time. The double quote is for the data inside, the single quote is what is encompassing the whole JSON data. So the product title, the fields I'm going to be supplying title, then the title I can just name it Android phone. Then after doing that, I can as well specify the price. The title is a string, that is why I have this double quote at the beginning and double quote at the end, but the price is an integer, so I can just enter 56. Okay, I can just enter 56. So that way I can close the bracket. Then after closing the bracket, I can now close the whole JSON data using single quotes. Okay, single quotes at the beginning, single quote at the end. Now I can move on to enter the endpoints. So paste. So that's the endpoint over there. Now it's going to be products slash add. Just note the endpoint. Okay, so if I should run this, let me just pass the JQ command, so that because it's going to be returning the details of the product. So this is the pipe, then JQ, run it. So just give it some time. You can see the ID is 195, the title is what, Android phone, and the price is 56, which is exactly what I entered upstairs here. So that is it, basically how to make HTTP requests. I've shown you how you specify the request, the method type, which is post, how to modify the headers using the H flag, the capital H, then how to send your data using the D flag, then you pass in your endpoint. So for the put or the patch, for the put and the patch, what you have to do is fairly simple. So we are just going to be making some adjustments to this other request that we have. So to make the adjustment, let me just use this button to go back. We are going to be specifying the method. Instead of post, now we are going to be having put. No, put. So put or patch, both of them will work. Then I'm going to be, the content type is still going to be application slash JSON. Then this is the title, this is the price. let me let me say updated Android phone instead. Okay, updated Android phone. Then, or let me just say updated Android tablets. Okay, then the price is going to be, instead of 56, let me have 272. Now I'll go ahead to modify the endpoint. So for me to modify the endpoint, I'm going to have to do to modify the endpoint, instead of product slash add, I have to do slash the ID of the product. That is how the API is configured. So for me to do that, all I have to do, oh god, let me use 6 this time. Then I can now execute. Make sure you're connected to the internet. Okay, you see now I just launched the put request, and you can see the response. Updated Android phone, which is exactly what I have in the data, in my data, updated Android phone, and you can see the price as well, 272. I might even decide to write the description and whatsoever, and it will reflect over here. Okay, so this is basically how you can launch a put request. But for a patch request, all you have to do is just change the method from put to patch, and that is it. Then whatever modification you want to make in the data, you are good to go. So let me just go back, and that's it. So patch. Then let me just change one or two. Updated patch Android phone. Let me add for the price now. Let me do something like 25. Then let me just add a description. Description. Then for the value, this is the description of the patch Android phone product. Okay, the spelling of my phone is 40, but please let's just move on. Then let me change the ID as well. Let this be the ID of 7. Okay, then I'll execute, and you can see everything is fine. You can see the description I just entered. You can see the description I just entered, the title, the price, and the description. So this shows that this is a valid patch request. Then for the delete request, all you have to do is just to pass the endpoint and the endpoint and the delete method. So you can do something like cURL, then capital X to specify the method delete, then you bring in the endpoint. So the endpoint product slash, maybe let's say the ID of maybe 3. Okay, so this is the endpoint, and if I let me also pass the JQ command so that it will display it properly. Okay, so basically this is the product after deleting it. So basically that is how to launch your request: post, put, patch, and delete. So by default it is going to be a get request. Okay, so one other thing I would like to show you is how to debug the request in verbose mode. If the request fails, okay, you can use the v flag to get detailed logs of the request. So this is what I mean. You can do cURL, then you pass the v flag, and you bring your endpoint. So for this endpoint, products, let me try something. So let me do pass the o flag and call it products dot JSON. Okay, then products.json, then I'll bring in my pipe JQ. Okay, so if I run this now, you can see I'm using the v flag to debug the request. Basically, you can see the IPv6, the IPv4, so many information about the request. Basically, you can see the server certificates and so many things. It's overwhelming already. You can see the host DummyJSON.com. The user agent is cURL 8.14.1, which is the version I have on my device. So the access control allow origin, the wildcard signifies that it allows all origins, basically all origins. So then we have the content type application slash JSON, whatsoever other data you need, it is there. Okay, so for now, ls You see, I'm having product.json and the products.json, which is the one we just created. So let me use the cat command to check the content. You can see this is the content of the request that we wrote to an external file. So let me clear this for now because it's looking messy. Then if I want to for one reason or the other, you might have to enter some special characters to your endpoint. For example, the question mark, the equal to. Okay, now you have to put the endpoint in a string to accommodate that. If not, you are going to be having conflicting issues with the Linux terminal and your command and all that. Let me just show you. So I can do something like cURL. Then let me also write this one to an external file, which is oflag, and I can call this search.json. So the search.json, now I'll bring in my endpoint because I want to enter some special characters to the endpoint. I have to put it in a string, in form of a string. Then that will be product slash search. With the way the API is configured, now I have to pass in a question mark, then the query string, I'll bring it in using q, then equal to, let me search for laptop for example. Okay, laptop for example. Then I have to close the string. Now after closing it, let me also use well, instead of writing it out to a file, I can pass in my pipe, then jq. But before I do that, let me just write it to the standard output instead of writing it to a file. No, okay, very good. So now pass it to standard output. Okay, very good. You can see, so it is giving me these laptops. Okay, you can see the first product, the first one, the ID is 78, the title, the description, and all that, whatever you want, just come here and pick it up. And pick it up. So that is that about that. We have some common issues that you might encounter while using cURL. Let me clear my terminal. Some common issues that you might encounter, if you are trying to use the cURL command and you are getting an error like command not found, then you can just use pkg install cURL, then you pass the Y flag. Okay, and it will install it for you. So now one other thing is, if you are trying to send data to the server and the data is somewhat confusing with the single quote and the double quote and all that, you can actually write a JSON file, write the data in form of a JSON file, then you pass the file directly to the server. What we have been doing since is that we have been sending the data directly, but now we can put the data in a JSON file, then we use the JSON file to actually send the data. We send the data as a JSON file basically to the server. Let me show you how that works. Okay, so to do that, I can simply, let me create a new file. I can call it post data.json. Okay, so no, what am I doing? Touch post data.json. Okay, so now I can use nano post. I have a nano tutorial for Android on my channel, so you can just check it out. Okay, so this is my nano. For me to type the details of my products, don't forget I have to do, okay, let me just use an existing one. Control X. So ls, I have products.json. Let me just edit that one. So nano products.json. Okay, so this product.json, let me just edit this one. I don't have to pass in the title. the ID rather, but for the title I have to modify the title. So let me just delete this one and call it Android phone from Termux. Okay, from Termux. So for the description, let me just start writing from here. This phone was created from Termux. Okay, from Termux. So let me just leave this for now. For me to save it, Control O. Yes, write to product.json. Now Control X to exit. So ls cat product.json. Okay, Android phone from Termux. So now let me show you how to send this particular data. Instead of typing all these things by hand, just push this data over to the API. So let me clear my terminal, then cURL, pass the X flag and specify that it is a post request. It's a post request. Then pass in the header, and the header is going to be content content type. Then that will be application slash JSON. Okay, then after doing that, I'll pass D, which is the data basically. Now I can do something like at product. Don't forget, I want to pass the file at products.json. Then I'll bring in my endpoint, paste, but this one will be product slash add. Okay, then I'll run it. Something is wrong somewhere. Oh god. um uh, okay, I made a mistake there, so let me just correct myself. So basically I'm supposed to do application slash JSON. I didn't close this. Okay, that is the error. So you can see, you can see. So he created it Android phone from Termux. Okay, and if you check the description, this phone was created from Android Termux. Okay, so that is it basically. If you need more information, you can just do call help, and no, sorry, cURL two hyphens then help. You can see some other things or some other actions that you can perform, passing the various flags. You can see the D flag, which stands for HTTP post data that we have been using. Then you can see the F flag, which is the failed test with no output, the H flag, the O flag, writing to file instead of standard output, the I flag, which we use to show response headers. So many other things that you can do basically. Another thing that I would like to show you how to handle in this tutorial is how to handle basic authentication basically over um, authentication over API when using cURL. So for the authentication, you can do something like this. Two types of authentication that we are going to be treating. The first one is if it's a basic authentication, just the username and password, if that's what you need, if that's what the API requires, or if you have to pass in a bearer token. Okay, so for the first one, all you have to do is cURL, then you can pass the U flag. You can see the U flag over here. the U flag. So pass that U flag, then you pass in the username. The username can be hello genius, for example. Then you pass in the password. The password can be pwhid training whatsoever. Okay, so after doing that, then you can pass in any other flag that is particular to the request, but for now I'll just bring in the endpoint. So this is the endpoint product. Let me just do slash 3. Now this dummy JSON doesn't require that you pass in a username and a password, but if you did, or if you are working with any endpoint that will have you pass in the username and the password, this is what you do. Okay, so now this is for just basic authentication, but if you have a token that you have to pass over API, what you will do is basically instead of having if instead of using the U flag, you are going to be using you're going to be using cURL. You're going to be using the H flag for the headers. Then for the header, so you can do authorization. Then authorization. Now, depending on the way the server is configured, you might have to enter it as a bearer token or as a JWT token. So if it's just bearer that the server will have you do, so you can do something like this, bearer. This is going to be case sensitive depending on what the server wants. So bearer, then you enter the token. Let's say this is what the token is. Okay, don't forget to close this. Then now that you have done that, you can just launch your request, but this time let me pass it GQ. Okay, so you can see what we have now. Okay, authorization. Dummy JSON does not require that you do this. I'm just the one that said, okay, let me show you how to do that. So that will be all for this tutorial. Thank you for staying till the end. Now you can use cURL in Termux to test APIs, debug with the V flag, to pass JSON with JQ as well. So if you have any questions or you require additional information, the comment section is open. You can just lodge your complaints and make your request known, and it will be attended to in due time. So thank you very much. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.